As Lord says in the previous verse, Pitaraga Bhayakrodha Manmaya Mamukashitaha Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Madhavagata. Who can attain Krishna? Lord says, Vita Raga Bhayakrodha. The person who is free from Raga, Krodha and Bhaya. Bhaya. Raga means attachment. Raga means attachment. Bhaya means fear. And Krodha means anger. The person who has got rid of this, and how? Bahava Jnana Tapasa. Through the austerity and knowledge, if someone comes over these three things, then he can attain the Lord. Then now, how to apply this knowledge in practical life? That is explained by the Lord in next 6 verses, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and only 15, not 16. 11 to 15. So the text number 11, Lord says, Ye yata mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham mama vartamanu vartante manusya partha sarvashaha. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respect, O son of Parth. See, everyone in this world is looking for Lord. Lord. They are looking for their Lordship. Mama vartamanu vartante manusyaha partha sarvasha. All the time, since the time immemorial, people are just looking for the Lord everywhere. Someone is looking Him in the form of a happiness. Someone is looking Him in the form of a peace. Someone is looking Him in the form of a Aishwarya or wealth, friend. Mama vartamanu vartante. Everyone is looking for me only. But they are following different processes, which is suitable as per their material conditions, as per the situation in their life. So that need to be understood. That's why in the purport, the first line, Prabhupada says, everyone is searching for a Krishna in the different aspect of his manifestation. So what are his aspects of manifestation in this world? As explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vadanti tattvas tattvavidam tattvam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti shabdate. The knower of the truth, they know the absolute truth in three different manifestations. And what are these three different manifestations of the Lord? First is Brahma or Brahma Jyoti. Second is Paramatma, a localized form of the Lord which resides in each and every living entity's heart. And third, a personal form of the Lord with whom you can establish your personal relationship. And that's why Lord says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. If someone considers This is not Lord, it's just stone. So Lord says, okay, it is your understanding and your consideration, and you want to know me as a stone in this form. Okay, I'm stone for you. Same time, if someone comes and with thy heart, with thy soul, if he thinks, hey, this is my Lord, you know, and he starts reciprocating with the Lord, the way as he reciprocates with the Lord in a personal form. So same way Lord accordingly reciprocates with him. Like if you go Hampi, there is one place in Karnataka, in Dakshin Bharat. That place is well known for one of the most beautiful deities of Yoga Narasimha. It is almost 11 feet high, tall, and most exquisitely carved. It's so beautiful, but it has a broken hands. Some inventors, they chopped out the hands of deities. And Lord Narasimha is known for his manifestation of Sharanagata Vatsala. Whoever surrenders to him, he is most dear to them and most lovable to them. So, here, till date, people they think you called him, he is a protector of devotees. Actually, generally, this photograph down they have titled as Divine Protector. Means a personality who is so divine to protect us. And people, atheistic people, they think he is not able to protect himself from the invaders. They came and they chopped out his hands. How he can protect us? But the devotees who are still looking that deities as Lord himself, they are getting that same reciprocation. They go pray to their Lordship for some particular reason, and their calamities, their problems are solved. The way and capacity you surrender to the Lord, accordingly He rewards you. That's the practical way of understanding Lord's mercy. The Supreme Personality of a Godhead is partially realized in the impersonal Brahma Jyoti effulgence and as all-pervading super soul dwelling within everything and including the particles of atom. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization. And thus, anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. Again, it's very important. Krishna is the object of everyone's realization. And thus, anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. Like somebody wants him as a son. So he manifests himself as a son. And he takes a parental affection from that. Somebody wants him as a friend. So they accept him as a friend. And he also manifests himself as their friend. And same way he reciprocates with them. You know, once Krishna, he went to Mathura and he killed Kamsa. As he killed him, Sridham, is brother of Srimati Radharani and very close friend of Krishna. Immediately he jumped into the arena. Huh? He dragged Krishna down, upside down, and sat on his chest and he said, see, I am so powerful. You may have killed Kansa, but now I have defeated you in wrestling match. So I am more powerful than you. And Krishna said, yeah, you are more powerful than me. He accepted defeat from Sri Rama. Here the person who has defeated the most ferocious demonic personality comes up. And here he is reciprocating with his friend as like he is subordinate to him. The way you want to realize Krishna, same way he satisfies. That's why आणखी एक बनवावं. मागे काय बघता तुम्हाला सांगा एवढा स्वार्थ ठीक नाही. हा आणखी एक बनवा म्हणलं एवढा स्वार्थ ठीक नाही. आपलं झालं म्हणलं हात बंद. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in a transcendental attitude. Just as the devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as a supreme master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally, according to their different entities of love for, I'm reading it again. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with the different types of worshippers. Yeah, we can discuss about that verse. So, ये ले लेना दशम स्कंद का 43rd चैप्टर वही वाला. हाँ हाँ तीसरा भाग जो भी होगा. In the 43rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, there is a nice verse which explains particularly about जो भी हो इधर है कंप्यूटर के पास है. मल्लानाम अशनीम नृणाम नरवरो स्त्रीणाम स्मरो मूर्तिमान. अरे कंप्यूटर के पास. In this particular incident, it is wonderfully explained that how Lord is manifested himself the 43. हाँ 17. मल्लाना मशनीम नृणाम नरवरो स्त्रीणाम स्मरो. Got it? मिला? दो. ये आगे वाला पार्ट इसमें 49 के बाद. हाँ इस प्रकार से ही. So here, in this particular shloka, or incident, Shukdev Goswami is explaining how Lord simultaneously reciprocates with the devotees in different intensities of their love for Him. That's what here just mentioned. Even in the transcendental world also, Lord, He behaves like that. So here it is said, Mallanam ashanyam dranam naravaro Strinam smaro murtiman Gopanam swajano asatam Shitibhujam shasta swapitro shishu Mrityor bhojapate virada vidusham Tattvam param yogina Vrishninam paradevate dividito Rangam gata sagrajaha. It's said here, the various groups of people in the arena regarded Krishna in a different ways when he entered it with his elder brother. Rangam gataha sagrajaha. Sagrajaha means with his elder brother. So Agraj. Agra means who was born before him. So that was Balaram. So along with the Balaramji, when Lord, he entered in the arena, he reciprocated with the different groups of people. What he did? The wrestlers, Mallanam, the Mallas means wrestlers. They saw Krishna as a lightning bolt, thunderbolt, Vajra. Vajra is considered as a too hard to break. One of the strongest weapons among the all weapons. Vajranam Ashanim. Then Mallanam Ashanim Nridam Naravaro. The men of Mathura, they looked at him as the best among the men. Among the men. And same time, the women, they looked at him exactly as Cupid. Cupid. You know Cupid? The god of love. The most attractive person. Who can churn your mind. If you see any beautiful woman, or any beautiful woman says, see any handsome man, what happens to the mind? It's totally upside down. So when they looked at Krishna, they saw that he is exactly like a Cupid. Gopanam Swajano, and all the cowards who are there, they looked at him exactly as their own Swajana. He is one among their family members. Asatam Kshiti Bhujam. Asatam means the impious. The impious people, they looked at him like a great ruler and a chastiser. Asatam Kshiti Bhujam Swashasta and Swapitro Shishu. And for his own parent, like Devaki and Vasudev, they thought, he's my child. He's such a small baby. When they looked at him, they thought about it. Then, the king of Bhojas, Kansa, Nrityor Bhojapate. Kansa thought that He is none other than the death personification for me. The personified death is standing in front of me and walking towards me. Mrityur Bhojapate Virat Avidusham. And for the unintelligent people, Avidusham means unintelligent people. He is the Lord of universal form, Virata Purusha. And Tattvam Param Yogina. At the same time, the yogis, as they looked at him as the absolute truth. They looked at him as absolute truth. Vrishninam Paradevateti. And all the Vrishnis, what they thought about? They thought their worshipable deities has entered in this arena. So that's the glory of the Lord. Ye yathamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajami. He is reciprocally respondent. The degree, the way you are surrendered unto him, he rewards accordingly. The degree of intensity of a love that you show to him, the same way he satisfies you. Sridhar Swami, he explains this particular verse. He says that Rudro Adbhutash Shringaro Hasyam Viro Daya Tatha Bhayanakasya Vivitsaha Shanta Saprema Bhaktikaha. Lord has shown 10 different moods in this particular situation. The first he says Rudra. Rudra means fury. The wrestlers, for them, he reciprocated in the form of a fury. So they thought that it was a furious for them. Mashlana, Mallana, Mashnimi. All the powerful Mallas, they thought he is the most powerful person. So there is a fear in their heart when they looked at the Lord. So he manifested that rasa or reciprocation with them is fury. Rudra, Raudra. Then Adbhutash. Adbhutash means wonder. If you see someone is excelling amongst all the human beings, you think that, oh, it's really wonderful. This person is wonderful because he excels everyone. Then Shringaro. Shringaro means conjugal attraction. When the girls and women in Mathura, they looked at him, they thought he is none other than Cupid. Cupid. C-U-P-I-D. Cupid. So this Cupid, they got attracted to Krishna in a conjugal attraction. So how contradictory see? The person who is ferocious, who created fear in the heart of Mallas, the great wrestlers, the same person created so much of loving affection in the heart of women who present there. Seems to be contradictory. But he did that. Then Hasyam. Hasyam is like a laughter. Gopanam Swajanam. For Gopas, for them, he created that particular rasa of laughter. Generally, when you are with your near and dear family members, you are more comfortable. You can joke with them. Huh? There is a joy in the heart. So all these Swajanas, they felt joy in their heart. Then chivalry. When the impious people, they looked at him, they thought he's a great king who can chastise them. So that chivalry was created in their heart. Daya. Daya for his parents. Parents, they thought so compassionately, hey, he's my son. He's such a small boy. And he has come in front of the Kansa. Kansa is so cruel. So they felt so compassionate toward Krishna. What will happen to our son? Again, there is a contradiction. Who created fear in the heart of wrestlers? Looking at him, they felt compassionate toward him. What will happen to my son now? Same time. Bhayanakash. Bhayanak means terror. Just looking at him, Kansa was terrified. He thought, oh, this person is none other than my dad. How can the person at the same time can manifest most loving attraction and simultaneously creates a terror in someone's heart? Seems to be great contradictory. Then vibhatsa, ghastliness. If something which is not in proportion, it creates that ghastliness in our heart. Hey, it looks so hard. But for the unintelligent people who can't understand their Lordship in His beautiful form, for them then He manifests in Virata Rupa, ghastly feature of the Lord. And then Shantaha. Shanta means peacefulness and neutrality. All the yogis, they perform this Ashtanga Yoga and meditate on the Lord who resides in everyone's heart. And that mood of worshipping Lord is called as a neutrality. But just having a peace, sitting at one place and having a peace to look at that wonderful four-handed form of the Lord which resides in everyone's heart. Yoginam Tattvam Param Yoginam. He is the absolute truth for the yogis. And then Prema Bhakti and the loving service towards the Lord. That's what we can understand. So, Bhagavad Gita is like a formulas, principles that you should understand. And Srimad Bhagavatam is like a example how to apply these principles in your practical life. How devotees of the Lord, they have understood it and put it into practice in their life. Got it? So further, Prabhupada says, in the material world, the same reciprocation of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with the different types of worshippers. The pure devotee, both here and the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord and thus derive transcendental peace in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalists and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. See, attaining Sayujya Mukti or merging into the Lord effulgence is considered as a spiritual suicide. Killing your individuality. Again, that is sin to commit suicide as per the Niti Shastra. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal, blissful personality of a Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord. Having extinguished their individuality, some of them who are not firmly situated even in the impersonal existence return to this material field to exhibit their dominant desire for activity. They are not admitted into the spiritual planets, but they are again given a chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fruitive workers, the Lord awards the desired result of their prescribed duties as the Yajneshwara. And those who are yogis seeking mystic power are awarded such a power. In other words, everyone is dependent for the success upon His mercy alone. And all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. So one should not condemn anyone. Whoever is practicing Jnana Yoga, Karma Kanda, or devotion, one should not condemn anyone. Because as per their capacity, they are doing it. So let them do it. And ultimately, they are succeeding in the same path. Today's Karma Kandi person, he is, by doing ritualistic activities, purifying himself and pushing forward on the path of a success in spiritual life. So same Karmakandi person, when he performs the activities with a knowledge, then he becomes Jnani. And that same Jnani, when he develops detachment from this material world and attachment toward the service of the Lord, then he becomes a devotee. So they are succeeding toward the same path. So no need to discourage them in their path. Let them do it. Encourage them. Unless therefore one comes to highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, and text number 30. Akamas sarvakamo va moksha kamo udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajet purusha param. Whether one is without desire, the conditions of the devotees, or is desirous of all fruitive results, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of the Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. Then in the Lord says in the next verse, for the people who worship different demigods, due to their different desires, what happens to them? Kankshata karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devata Shipram himanushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from a fruitive work in the world. So it is already recommended by the Lord. The person who performs the fruitive activities, they get result immediately. Than the devotee who endeavors for purifying himself. It takes time. There is a great misconception about the gods or demigods of this material world, and men of a less intelligence, although passing as a great scholars, take these demigods to be various forms of the Supreme Lord. Actually, demigods are not different forms of the God, but they are God's different parts and parcels. God is one, and the parts and parcels are many. The Veda says, Nityo Nityanam Shetanas Shetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. God is one who satisfies so many. Ishvara Parama Krishna, the Supreme God is one, Krishna. And the demigods are delegated with the powers to manage this material world. These demigods are all living entities, Nityanam, with the different grades of material power. They cannot be equal to the Supreme God, Narayana, Vishnu or Krishna. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called as atheist or Pashandi. Even the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva cannot be compared to the Supreme Lord. In fact, the Lord is worshipped by the demigods such as Brahma and Shiva. Shiva Viranchi Nutam Yam Brahma Vedanta Vido Vadanti Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutai Tunvanti Divyai Savai Vede Sangakramopanishade Gayanti Samaga Yasyantam Navido Sura Suragani Devaya Tasmai Namaha. In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam it is explained. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra. All the demigods like Brahma, Rudra, Varuna, Indra, all they are worshipping him. Sunvanti Divya Istavaya. With a selected verses they are glorifying their Lord. Yasyantam navido sura suragani. Neither the suras, demons or demigods or demons, nobody knows his potencies. I worship that personality of the Lord. Vedehi Sangha Kramaya Upanishadehi Gayanti Yam Samaga. All the Vedic hymns are just nothing but his glorification. Yet, curiously enough, there are many human leaders who are worshipped by foolish men under the misunderstanding of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism. Iya Devataha. Iya Devata denotes a powerful man or a demigod of this material world. But Narayana, Vishnu and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of a Godhead, does not belong to this world. He is above. Narayana Parovyakta. This Lord Narayana is beyond the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Then what to speak of this material world? He is above or transcendental to the material creation. Even Sripada Shankaracharya, the leader of the impersonalists, maintains that Narayana or Krishna is beyond this material creation. However, foolish people, Ritagyanaha, who are without knowledge, worship the demigods because they want immediate results. They get the result but do not know that results so obtained are temporary and are meant for less intelligent persons. The intelligent person is in Krishna consciousness and he has no need to worship the partly demigods for some immediate temporary benefit. The demigods of this material world as well as their worshippers will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. The boons of the demigods are material and temporary. Both the material world and their inhabitants, including the demigods and their worshippers, are bubbles in the cosmic ocean. As you see, there are so many waves. They come at the shore. They come along with so many bubbles. Huh? How long that bubble remains? So same way our existence is there in this material world. Then why to waste our time to worship different demigods for different reasons? As their benedictions and they themselves are not going to be permanent in this world. So the intelligent person, what he does, he worships that who has eternal existence and whose benedictions are there eternally. And that's why Prabhupada says the intelligent person takes up Krishna consciousness rather than worshipping other different demigods for immediate results. To achieve such a temporary things, people worship the demigods and powerful men in the human society. If a man gets some ministership in the government by worshipping a political leader, he considers that he has achieved a great boon. All of them are therefore not owing to the so-called leaders or big boons. In order to achieve temporary boons, and they indeed achieve such a thing, such a foolish men are not interested in Krishna consciousness for the permanent solution to the hardship of material existence. They are all after sense enjoyment, and to get a little facility for sense enjoyment, they are attracted to worshipping empowered living entities known as demigods. This verse indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. Kangshatam karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devata. People who are desired to get this material result, they worship demigods. Shipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Because the performer of the fruitive activity, he gets immediate result when he worships the demigod. That shows very less people are interested to take Krishna consciousness. Because most of the people, they want quick results, immediate. So what they do? They worship demigods. So they can get immediate but temporary result for their activity. They are mostly interested in a material enjoyment and therefore they worship some powerful living entities. So now we are discussing the verse which is most important, because our Prabhuji is sitting here and he had some queries about this particular verse 2 weeks back and he was asking about that. Are you there? No, and he is in his world. Mohan Chaitanya bro, are you there? We are discussing the verse which was creating so much of trouble in your mind. चातुर्वर्ण्यम मया सृष्टम गुणकर्म विभागशः तस्य कर्तारम अपि माम विद्यम अकर्तारम अव्ययम. According to three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Tasya kartaram apimam vidya akartaram, avyayam. Generally, things comes in our mind that Krishna, if he is a controller of everything, then he does decides that whether who will become devotee or who will become karmi. Who decides that? Modes of material nature. Because whatever desire that you had in previous life, according to that you are going to get the body. That's why Lord says, even though I have created this, but I am not the doer. I am totally different from this. Because through my material energy you are going to get it, not directly from me. So I have created this Chaturvarnya system, but through the agency of my modes of material nature. The Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is born of Him. Everything is sustained by Him. And everything after annihilation rests in Him. He is therefore the creator of the four divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class of a man, technically called as the Brahmanas, due to their being situated in the mode of goodness. Next is the administrative class, technically called the Kshatriyas, due to their being situated in the modes of passion. The mercantile men, called the Vaishyas, are situated in the mixed modes of passion and ignorance, and the Shudras, or laborer class, are situated in the ignorant mode of a material nature. In spite of his creating the four divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions, because he is not one of the conditioned souls, a section of whom form human society. Human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from animal status, the above mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. The ultimate purpose of creating this Varnashrama system to elevate a soul from animalistic condition or animalistic status to the most pure Krishna consciousness. Such a symptoms of a life, according to the different modes of material nature, are described in 18th chapter of this book. A person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmanas. Although Brahmins by quality are supposed to know about Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, most of them approach only to impersonal Brahman manifestation of Lord Krishna. But a man who transcends the limited knowledge of a Brahman and reaches to the knowledge of the supreme personality of a Godhead, Lord Krishna, becomes person in Krishna consciousness. Or, in other words, a Vaishnava. Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansion of Krishna, namely Rama, Narasimha, Varaha, etc. And as a Krishna is a transcendental to this system of four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society. Whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or a species. So Vaishnavas are above the social system, which is known as Varnashrama system. Then in the next verse, Lord says, Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha iti yamam yo vijanati karma bhirna sabhadyate. Who never gets bound in the modes of material nature? The person who knows that there is no work that affects me, means Krishna. Or, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of world. Because he is beyond this material world. Paro, Avyakta. And who knows this, who understands this, that my Lord is above all the material activities. He never gets bound by the modes of material nature. That person can get rid of this chain or cycle of karma. As there are constitutional laws in the material world stating that the king can do no wrong or the king is not subjected to the state laws, similarly the Lord, although he is the creator of this material world, is not affected by the activities of the material world. He creates and remains aloof from the creation. Whereas the living entity is entangled in the fruitive result of material activities because of their propensity for lording it over material resources. Why we get entangled? Because we create affection, we create attachment for that particular thing. Me, mine, aham, mameti. But Lord does not have that thing. For him, everyone is equally. So he is equally renounced to everyone. It's not with us. We are too attached to our family members, little bit attached to our neighbors, little bit attached to our community, a little bit attached to our city, then state, then country, then continent. But Lord, because everything is possessed by Him, He is not that attached to each and everything. He easily can give up. We can't. To give up an old shirt which we wear for a months together, which we like it becomes very difficult for us. We get that much attached to that thing. Then what to speak of having this body for so long? The Lord is being full in Himself, has no attraction for so-called heavenly happiness. The heavenly demigods are only His engaged servants. The proprietor never desires the low-grade happiness such as the workers may desire. He is aloof from the material attraction and reactions. For example, the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetation that appear on the earth. Although without such a rains, there is no possibility of vegetative growth. Vedic Smritis confirms this fact as follows. निमित्तमात्रं एवासौ सृजयानं सर्गकर्मणि प्रधानकर्तानि बहुता भूता यतो वैसृज्य शक्तयः. In the material creation, the Lord is only supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature, by which the cosmic manifestation is made visible, created. Beings are of many varieties, such as the demigods, human beings, and lower animals. All of them are subjected to the reactions of their past good and bad activities. The Lord only gives them the proper facilities for such activities and the regulations of the modes of nature, but He is never responsible for their past and present activities. In the Vedanta Sutras, it is confirmed, Vaishamyam Naigranye cha Sapekshatvad. The Lord is never partial to any living entities. The living entities is responsible for his own acts. The Lord only gives him facilities through the agencies of material nature. The external energy, anyone who is fully conversant with all the intricacies of their law of karma or fruitive activities does not become affected by the results of his activities. In other words, the person who understands his transcendental nature of the Lord is an experienced man in Krishna consciousness, and thus he is never subjected to the laws of karma. One who does not know the transcendental nature of the Lord and who thinks that the activities of the Lord are aimed at a fruitive result, as are activities of the ordinary living entities, certainly becomes entangled himself in the fruitive reaction. But one who knows the supreme truth is liberated soul fixed in Krishna consciousness. And then Lord says that whoever knows previously, all they have attained liberation. एवं ज्ञात्वा कृतं कर्म पूर्वैरपि मुमुक्षुभिः कुरु कर्मैव तस्मात् त्वं पूर्वैर्पूर्वतरं कृत. All the liberated soul in ancient times acted with the understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following their footsteps. So this is what? And this is how one should apply this knowledge in their life. Considering that previously, by understanding this knowledge, great people, they got a liberation. So if you act on this platform, then you will also get liberated. And then from the next verse, he starts explaining the complexity of karma. And that we will discuss in our next session. Okay? So, any confusion that I have created in your mind? No confusions? Okay. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की